Hello. For the next in our series on the introduction to financial services industry, we're going to talk a little bit about brokers. Again, my disclaimer here is that this is basically an introduction at a very high level. If you want a deeper dive into this topic, you should get the book After the Trade is Made by David Weiss, and that we're not going to give any financial recommendations here. So let's talk about the brokers. Sometimes brokers get a bit of a bad name because, people often feel that they get investments, and if their investment loses money, the broker still gets paid. But obviously, brokers do want to see their clients make money and do want to see the clients benefit. But broker, I picked up this definition off Investopedia rather. The broker is an individual firm that acts as an intermediary between the investor and a securities exchange. So the broker's role is to be a middleman, to facilitate things happening, to be the middle person who has regulatory oversight and who has access to the markets, and also that can cross-sell. Now, there's different types of brokers that we're going to talk about. There's a broker-dealer, agency broker, introducing broker, executing broker, clearing broker, and prime brokers. These are all different types of brokers that we have in the U.S., and they're all regulated. They're all licensed differently, and they all have different types of requirements. Brokers on the sell side, I think we talked about earlier in a previous video. First type of broker we'll talk about is a broker-dealer. A broker-dealer is a case where the broker, acting on their own or on behalf of the customer, the broker actually takes a position. The broker goes out and buys a security. Let's say they buy Apple. The broker buys Apple, settles it against the street, takes ownership of the security, holds it, and then sells it with the idea that they're going to make a profit. So they actually take the position, take the security, own the security, and are speculating that they're going to sell it as part of their investment strategy. They're dealing in the security, right? Now, this is what a market maker does. If a particular broker is a market maker on a particular security, they're acting as a dealer, right? This is the heart of the whole. Without someone providing this service, you wouldn't be in a position where you could always go to the broker and get a security. They provide a market. That's what a broker dealers do. But remember, the broker dealer is taking a position, holding it, with the expectation that they're going to advance they're going to make a bet, they're going to make a profit, that they're going to they're going to make money on the investment. They're operating on their own behalf. A broker dealer is operating on the interests and best interests of the dealer. Now, an agency broker is a case where the broker is acting as an agent of a client to get the best deal for the client, to represent the interests of the client. The agency broker doesn't actually buy the security and hold it himself in his account. The agency broker is operating on the behalf of the client to go out and find that security and get it at the best price as fast as possible and settle it to its client, so its client will hold it. So the agency broker doesn't themselves own the security. They go out and they get the security for their client on behalf of their client. And so this means filling the order at the best price as fast as possible, which is very different than what we said the broker dealer was doing. Then there's what's called an introducing broker. This is kind of interesting. There are cases where a broker has a relationship with the clients. Maybe he's a retirement advisor with customers who are senior citizens, and but as a broker, he may be operating out of a home office or a small business, and he doesn't have or he or she doesn't have a big back office, doesn't have all the technology, doesn't have all the infrastructure. In this case, the introducing broker owns the relationship to the client, but then outsources everything else to other brokers, right? So if you go to there's a particular broker I'm aware of in Asheville, North Carolina, where he operates out of a 2-room office in a small building, but yet he actually is outsourcing all of his executions and his settlement and clearing and all of his reporting and other services to another broker. And that broker provides those services. Now we're going to talk about an executing broker. And this is where this all kind of comes together. Executing brokers are the brokers that actually execute the trade against an exchange or against a market, right? So let's say you have a customer and you are an introducing broker and you have a customer that wants to buy a security on the Toronto Stock Exchange. And you don't have the right, you're not regulated, you're not licensed, you're not registered to actually, you're not a member of the Toronto Stock Exchange. You would have to go to an executing broker who is a member of that exchange and contract with them for them to execute the trade on your behalf. That's what executing brokers do. They go out and they actually go and get the execution. And all brokers do this. I mean, many brokers do this, right? Then there's the clearing broker. The clearing brokers are the actual brokers that go out and do the settlement clearing work. And they have the expertise, they have the back office, they have the skills, they have the infrastructure to settle and clear in a particular market. This would be if you were a brokerage firm and you didn't have an office in the U.S. Let's say your offices were in Nova Scotia, and you wanted to you're buying and selling securities in the U.S. Well, you wouldn't be licensed in the U.S. You wouldn't have the infrastructure in the U.S. So you have to engage with a clearing broker and an executing broker in the U.S. to execute and settle and clear those on your behalf. Penson is a very well-known broker that for years I would interact with. That they had a large business that they were settling clearing brokers, both in Canada and in the U.S. So the executing broker goes out and gets the executions, and the clearing broker is a broker that does the settlement clearing. Now, in some cases, the executing broker and the clearing broker could be the same broker. You could have a case where Merrill Lynch is the executing broker and Merrill Lynch is the clearing broker. But you could also see scenarios where, for various reasons, introducing brokers or different businesses might choose to do their execution in one place and their settling clearing in another place. And that might be because they get a better deal. Maybe they're getting a better, maybe they got something else going on in their business that they were able to negotiate a better deal. But it all could be in one broker or it could be in several brokers. Again, your executing broker could be Toronto Dominion, and your clearing broker could be Fidelity. And the last type of broker I'm going to talk about here is the prime broker. Prime broker is a little bit of a different scenario. Prime broker is a broker relationship for institutional clients, basically that arranges funding. It's arranging financing. Prime brokers service like hedge funds and other large institutional customers. And what they do is they organize funding, and they also provide access to stock loans, stock lending. Let's say you're a hedge fund and you need to borrow in order to make settlement. You need on some strategy you have. You need to borrow some hard to borrow securities. A prime broker would arrange for that. A prime broker gets you that stock loan relationship, the hard to borrow stock relationship, or they arrange funding or financing. That's the job of the prime broker. Again, prime brokers don't have relationships to individual investors, to small mom and pop investors, to private client, private individuals. Prime broker is only a special type of relationship between institutional investors like hedge funds. That's a prime broker. Now let me talk about this in kind of a pragmatic example. Here in the gray, the blue, and the yellow, I have an executing broker, I have an introducing broker, and I have a clearing broker. They all could be the same firm. They could all be Merrill Lynch, or all those boxes could be Fidelity, or all those boxes could be Charles Schwab. But sometimes they're all different organizations, right? So introducing broker has clients that are investment advisors. Let's say he wants to organize, he wants to execute a trade in the Canadian market. Well, maybe he's going to use a Canadian broker. For example, Broadridge it happens to be a broker in the Canadian market with all the market infrastructure for executing trades. So maybe what they're doing is they're going to route the order, they'll have a relationship, they'll route the order to the executing broker, who is then a member of the exchange, and will route the order to the exchange and get the order and the notice of execution and handle all the relationships to the depository. And then the clearing broker deals with the depository and the executing broker to do all the work for settling. Now, these, as I've kind of explained earlier, and I have a separate presentation where I go through this in detail. I just wanted to bring this slide up here to show you that the executing broker, the introducing broker, the clearing broker, it could all be one firm. That could all be Fidelity, or it could all be Merrill Lynch, or it could all be Toronto Dominion, or it could all be Charles Schwab. But they're different functions. They're different broker functions, and they could be different institutions. You know, we talk about tradeaways, where a trade, where you're the clearing broker for a particular customer, and the trades are done someplace else, and they get brought into you for clearing and settlement. So yes, they all could be the same firm, or they could be different brokerage firms, but they're different brokerage functions. In each case, the broker is doing something different. An executing broker is the broker handling the exchange relationship and the execution of the trade. The introducing broker handles the relationship to the investor, to the end user, to the customer, the client, and the clearing broker handles the relationship with the depository and handles settlement. So clearing broker handles clearing and settlement, execution broker handles the exchange and the execution of the order, and the introducing broker handles the relationship to the customer. Okay, thank you. Again, if you have any questions, please contact me at the email listed below. And I look forward to hearing from you, and I'll do my next video. Thank you.